is the best way for aspiring writers to use Cosmoetica?
I would say read it. Read it with an open mind. Compare it. Compare it to the stuff other people have read. Whether you're a film enthusiast, compare it to, say, Cahiers de Cinema. Compare it to Roger Ebert. Compare it to the critics that you'll find on newspapers or in Rotten Tomatoes or whatnot. Because I will say this: I've read a lot of film criticism, and there were some good individual reviews. Roger Ebert, out of the who knows how many 5,000, 10,000 films he might have reviewed in 40 plus years, I'd say he has 3 or 4 dozen, maybe 20, maybe 40 to 50 really excellent to a few great reviews of films. Um, but I would have to say that film criticism, in a sense, begins with me because I don't think there was anyone who came to look at film and write about it in hundreds of essays the way I did. Um, you're someone who, in a sense, is a descendant critic from me, in that you took what I said about how you have to view films, and your contribution is you're the first person to focus solely on one particular filmmaker, Woody Allen. Hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully you'll do something on Cassavetes and maybe over the years some other filmmaker. Uh, but uh, in a sense, my film essays broke from the bad tradition of hit and miss personalized film. Roger Ebert liked this or didn't like that. Thumbs up, thumbs down. All of these critics were writing about their likes or dislikes. You've chronicled a lot of these bad film critics in your book. You know, the Pauline Kaels and the Rosenbaums and the Carneys and so on and so forth. And each of them, there are 10 or 12 lesser iterations of that type. There's the Carney type, there's the Rosenbaum type, there's the Kael type, and a few others, the Bosley Crowther type, and a handful of others out there. So I think if you use Cosmoetica, whether it's for the film essays, whether it's for the poetry and using, you know, uh, essay writing should be entertaining. One of the things I specifically did in this old poem essays, for example, is to try to make them entertaining, make them bite-sized, small. Um, I will sometimes be able to teach you more by just diacritically underlining the cliches or bolding the bad enjambments in a poem. That will just those acts of diacritically marking where the poem goes wrong does more for poetry criticism and for poetry writing than 500 pages of some blowhard like Harold Bloom or uh, what's her name, Helen Vendler, or again lesser iterations of them in their wandering, aimless, pointless essays about poetry. So read the stuff, compare it to what's out there, and then really take a step back and say, just because someone has MFA or PhD after their name does not make what they're saying is good. Reject the idea that there are somehow just professionals out there. There's no such thing as a professional writer in the sense, I mean, yes, there is in terms of being paid or not paid, but professional in the sense that just because someone gets paid, that automatically makes them knowledgeable about writing itself more than someone who isn't. They may know more about the process of getting an agent or getting a book deal, but not the actual writing. Use your head, use critical thought, and apply that. And as I said, most of the things that I'm going to say, most people will agree with. And I've had this happen, like I said, hundreds or thousands of times, where people who have thought what I said was somehow heretical, after they've read it many times, they'll something will click. But it's the fact of even going back that second time. There is a part of a person that knows when they stumble upon something that is correct, not truthful in some gallant way, but simply correct. And so that's I think the best way to use Cosmoetica as a way to understand life. Cosmoetica is I think one of the best tools out there, and it's probably one of the things. Cosmoetica, just like my writing, is something apart from my writing. It encompasses my writing, but it's something that I think will be seen when people write the first 20, 25 years of the internet, the most important websites. When it comes to the arts, there's Cosmoetica and there's every other arts website. I mean, there's no comparison. If there is any website that's on an equal footing or even close to an equal footing, no one's ever shown me. So I can't say with 100% certitude, but if you want to talk about a political website or a website about philosophy or a website about the internet itself, there may be foundational, fundamental websites out there. But when it comes to understanding art and especially literature, Cosmoetica is non-pareil, and the gap between it and whatever might be number two that I know of is a light year.